Testing sound. All right. Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. What is going on? Sound is good. I heard myself, so that's good. Hello, Patrick. All right. Well, the story of the week is really the big cap earnings. Microsoft gave back some. Meta, big up day. Tonight we have Apple and Amazon, I believe. Yeah. So just the continuation of the big guys. Happy Thursday in a trade. If we look at IWM, which is my favorite group to trade, the small caps, it's garbage. The IWM Russell 2000 is just rolling over up there. The S&P 500 is just, it's kind of been the same story day after day. It's been very difficult. You can see market gaps up, and then it spends half the day selling off, finding its footing. Gaps up, spends half the day selling off, finding its footing. So it's very difficult trading market for me, at least. Oh, was I supposed to take over Barry's room? I forgot. Ah, good point. Hang on a second. Old habits die hard. So yeah, I see people trickling in from Barry's room and others from social media. Thank you, Pepe, for the reminder. Yeah, like I said, old habits die hard. So just if I zoom out on this 15-minute chart here, it's like this is like an EKG. Not exactly a good semblance for setups for trading. Oh yeah, the Fed. I forgot we had the Fed in there too. That was fun. So because of all that, I am in 100% cash. I think I mentioned last time we spoke, I just don't like the way this market continues to inch its way out on the tree branch. Nothing but good stuff. I mean, coming in from the data, from GDP and uh, other things, the revenue. Everybody was thinking these tariffs were going to bankrupt, send us into a recession, tailspin. Well, it's been kind of the opposite. So that's been interesting. But it's just been a slow summer grind. I've seen these markets before. They don't sell off and they don't really go anywhere. And I like to, as I said, I like to play the small caps and the bigger picture. the general current for the small caps has just been extremely frustrating. Here's bull, the trade of the week. We call that a small cap. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. There's no bounce. There's just a continued offer that just kind of slams every attempt to bounce, unless you're Meta or Apple or Microsoft or Google. Those are the happy ones. So just my own talking out loud here. I've been doing a lot of day trading lately, and I haven't even been doing a lot of day trading because my 401k doesn't allow me to go short. So it's no fun watching the market gap up every day and then just sell off. You just kind of wait for it to find its footing. I mean, if that's your game, that's fine. But back to my original point, I'm in 100% cash. I'm not doing anything. I don't like the way a lot of the stocks that I've been trading have been acting. And we'll see. I don't mind fear of missing out. Do I still like the book? It's a great question. We're sitting on Thursday now. I loved the entry. I love how the entry was patient, and we called the entry. And here's that entry line pivoted right there. So we're just getting kind of a little pivot back and forth across that line. Maybe these next few candles build back up and we come back and cross the threshold again. But ideally, I would have liked to have seen some sort of a reversal or a bottom tail or a bounce today or a follow through on the open. This is just what I've been seeing a lot of. Do I still like it? Yeah, I'd say I still like it. But what I would do is I would just say, if it can't hold this double low here, that's about 25-cent risk, 28-cent risk. I'd cut it. I'm currently not in it. Trust me, I tried, and I don't like the way it's behaving. So 100% cash means 100% cash. That's including the exclusivity of bull. I'm not in that anymore. I've decided to cut these things really early because they're just not behaving. And it's been like day after day after day. So I hit all-time highs last week in my account, but I grind it back slowly. It starts to just like wear on you. So all I do is I just hit the reset button, go back to cash. And additionally, this is a great point here. I work at Trade Ideas still. I've got a lot of things going on. Some of you probably talk to me in a chat, when I'm not doing this live. If I can't turn and answer an email or a chat, I can't focus. And this week, Andy's out of town, which means I'll be doing his session tomorrow. Chris is going to be out of town tomorrow and all of next week. So take it easy on me. Any new users that are auto trading or having a hard time, I'm not going to have a moment's notice, a moment's attention to focus on my personal trading the way I want to. I mean, I could, but not the way I want to. So I basically hunkered down. The point being is that I'm using, my personal life. If you go on vacation, or if you're sick, or if you got somebody in the hospital, that's when you just go to cash and you take your mind off of it for a little while. You'd be surprised how nice and refreshing it is. You can do that. Sure. Hello, Tori. Hello, Mike C. What's up? Somebody mentioned qubits as I go backwards here. Oops. Try that. Not bad. Tale of two tapes. A nice pullback on the entry after a fake out breakout. However, this is why I use my intraday 5-day moving average. Short term, it's under pressure. So I'd say once it can post a closing candle above this blue line there, that's probably when it's more interesting to me. And Tori's asking about, UNH. Those, I can see how bad this chart's going to look. Let's see. There it is. All right. So whenever a stock has really bad news and gaps down, I like to give it a few days at least. Today's day number 3. If we can go, there we go. If we go left, we can kind of see. And here's what I'll do. This is how you use price alerts. Right click, create a price alert. There we go. So I'm giving my future self a current look at UNH. I would not be interested in it right here because it's so close to this level back here. When you look left, it's probably going to go and try and trick it. This is how algorithms trade. It's called a liquidity hunt. There's probably lots of shares sitting under that level that these algo fishermen just want to go and throw their net in and throw a couple seal bombs and see what they can catch. Shake the trees and see what kind of loose fruit comes. With that being said, when that alert goes off for my future self, I'll just watch UNH. And what it'll likely do is cascade lower because everybody's putting their stop there. Everybody's just hemming and hawing. And if you look at this, this is where UNH lost it right there. And a lot of times you'll see what I call a head fake. And the head fake can move down, and before it moves up, or in a stock that's down and under pressure, a head fake can fake out people and try and bring in excitement. And that's what they sell into. More than likely, this buyer and this seller might be the same person. You go back to the old book, Jesse Livermore, Reminiscence of a Stock Operator in the 1920s. It's as old as time. You're moving the masses, the emotions. Livermore had a big order to sell, and he would tell his assistants, go in and buy 200,000. And they'd look at him, they say, sir, but I thought we were going to sell. He goes, yeah, just go buy it first. Bring in the excitement, and then wham, you hit the bid, and that's the liquidity you need. So in the case of UNH, it's probably directing itself towards a stop hunt, a liquidity hunt down here. And you just watch how it trades. If it can reverse after an hour of selling and panic and start to hold a bid and come back up, that might be an intriguing entry. All right. Hey, Jeff, when you have a list, a chart is flipping through the list entirely fast. I don't know how to slow it down. No, yeah, I think it sounds to me like you've got what's called the idea surfing. And you can see idea surfing is paused up here. I can pause it on the toolbar. And what it is any top list window, the charts are going to cycle through the top 3 names on a T list to just constantly show you a visual of the top 3 of any sector or any top list window you want. The right way to turn it off is you can pause it up here. You can go to tools and options, and in the main layout here, you can just uncheck it all together. So I have unchecked enable idea surfing. I don't want that. It's like an old AM FM. Can you slow it down? I don't think so. I think it's just a toggle. It's either on or off. All right. Again, so market is waiting 2 more big Amazon, probably going to be great earnings, just like the last big caps have been. By the way, here's a perfect example of if you're going to trade this market, you certainly don't buy the gap open, do you? No. You just wait and you watch and you wait. And right here, this is where the rubber always meets the road on stocks that gap up strong and come in hard. But they always seem to find, and it's almost like the VWAP. I guarantee you the VWAP and this 10 SMA on a 15-minute chart are pretty close. And all that's telling you is there's buyers in this thing, and they aren't chasing on the open. They're waiting. But once this line approaches, the game is on. There's a competition for these institutional buyers to report to their clients, hey, we got you the best average price as close as we could to the VWAP today. Well, that's why these things bounce usually at the VWAP or the 10 SMA. So what's the lesson, new trader? If you're a new trader and you come in and you're like, oh my God, Amazon had great earnings, I'm going to buy it. Well, you go ahead and buy it, but everybody that bought it yesterday is going to take profits on the open. You have to like the trade, but you have to be able to wait and wait for your pitch like a baseball player does. And the pitch, in my book, is a strong stock on the 15-minute that gaps up. Wait for it to come down here and start to touch the 10 SMA. And that is where entry points can be created. What was the other one? Okay, Microsoft. Look where it's finding the battle right there. It's not bouncing, but that's where it's finding the battle. Yeah, only 1 speed. Thanks, Pepe. It's a toggle on that. right, I think I'm caught up. I don't have any positions to show you. I'm not interested in anything. The stuff I was trying, anything that was oversold. I was trying rum, can't find a bounce. I was trying DJT, can't find a bounce. I was trying Hertz, can't really find a bounce. And when I say can't find a bounce, what I'm looking at is how it bounces and then it just gives way on the 10 SMA. It just gets sloppy. You got a wick. This should be solid green. This should be an oversold ripper back up. They should be fighting to get this stuff, and they're not. And that just tells me something's not right. So the names that I've been playing, I've been staying away from the high flyers like the nano nukes, the SMRs, and the Oklos. I mean, they're working, but I don't know. They've just been very difficult for me as well lately. So when you can't find something to trade or you don't see it, you just step away. UAVS, the drones, they're in no man's land. I don't really see any setups over there. I look at the board over here, and there's still a lot of red, but that is changed from the open because we did gap up. If we go change from close, it's still kind of red. Rum was another one I was trying, and again, it just can't follow through. Just has to. Sellers are too strong. So, if anybody was sent here, I think at least a couple people were invited to come by today. New users of Trade Ideas, don't be shy. Use that question box, chat window that is, and we can use this time, to get you up to speed for something you want to try and figure out, because you're not going to figure out the program as it is in the first day or two. We're working on making a more friendlier user experience with the new versions, Trade Ideas version. So, yeah, it's overwhelming. Yes. Yes, and we're working to make that less overwhelming, but that's kind of the power of it at the same time, is once you understand all the levers that you can throw on it and how you want to back into something, that's the power of it, is it's always updating in real time and giving us ideas that you want to see. Well, a lot of good trades in the AI today. I don't use the AI either. But what I like to do is I like to pull these up because these are stocks in play. The AI found them because they're in motion. What they usually do is they usually wind up highlighting and bolstering my reason for liking to use this 10 SMA as a guide rail, as a guardrail for when to get short. So if you pulled up Holly and you missed this entry and you watch this sideways action, we can call it a secondary entry on a first name name given by AI. There's your entry to go short right there. Let's just look at a couple more here. So currently there's your entry to go long if you wanted to, if you missed that first one. Look at this. My God, we're 3 for 3. You get a nice bounce. Oh, I missed that short entry. Oh, it's bouncing. Holly said to short this. Hey, it's running right into that 10 SMA that Steve talked about. Can be a secondary opportunity. Short entry. It's working. So I'm trying to highlight for newer users here, the AI, ideally, yeah, we'd auto trade it, but it's not available to auto trade until the money machine comes out. We've all heard that ad nauseum. But what I like to do is, maybe just go through these names and show you every day. Holly's giving you a list of stocks that are in play. And if they wind up, consolidating or going sideways into a moving average, like right there, it's pretty much the same as the entry. the number one rule is the Holly trade on the right side of the line? And if it is, if you're not in it, if you can make an entry at or on the line, that's a good opportunity. So just a quick little note there on the AI. Oh, did you want me to look at a chart in the trade? I missed it. I can look at it if you want, if you retyped it. But here we are again. The market's just going to do a lot more of the same because giant bellwethers, Amazon and Apple, want to bring probably good news to the market afterwards. Apple's been a little different lately, probably because of the foreign nature of the manufacturing and the tariffs. But not so much for Amazon. Of course, Oracle too, another big name. Can't forget about that one. So the Magnificent Seven: Google, Microsoft, Oracle, Amazon, Meta. Jeez. These are the big giant corporations that are pretty much holding up the stock market. People are wondering why their favorite little mid cap and small cap stock isn't doing much when the market's up. That's why. SP, this is the S&P equal weight versus the SPY. Big difference, right? SPY, giant weight given to big stocks that I just went through, the Magnificent Seven. SP 500 stocks with equal weight. Doesn't look the same. Another kind of empirical visual reason why I'm not trading anything. I have to go long in my 401k and I don't want to go long. So my only defense is to play cash. Actually, it's funny. It allows me to trade certain things like Apple short, AAPD, or AMD short. But why would I want to? Oh my God, it's almost like a carnival. Here you go, 401k investor. We'll allow you to short, but you can only short the Magnificent Seven. Okay. The ones that won't go down, those are the ones I have access to short in my 401k. Thank you, regulators. Thank you for watching out after me and making sure I don't hurt myself. So my point is, sarcastically, I have to work within the rules of my 401k account, and I don't see anything I want to do long. So it's been a really nice run. What would get me excited again? Maybe a nice 2 or 3 day panic sell-off down here to the 50-day moving average, reset everything. That might get me interested. But when you see day after day after day just creeping out on the branch, this is called musical chairs. At some point, everybody's as nervous as I am, basically. And I think the greed fear factor, somebody's got a reading on that. The greed fear factor will probably weigh in the dark green on the greed side, which is usually a ripe old time for a shift in mass psychology. And I just don't want to be positioned heavily for when the black swan day comes. I'm not predicting the black swan, but there's always some sort of headline that just lights the fuse where everybody's panic of being overbought and everybody heads for the doors at once. And trust me, that's not the way you want to exit your portfolio positions. That is not fun. So just again, philosophically speaking, personally, I'm back to 100% cash. I've got no interest in trying to go along this market. I need to see some reset. A lot of the stocks I like to play, my favorite names, they're not doing anything. The small caps are just getting run over. Here's our trade of the week. There comes an uptick in bull. A few upticks across the board, but doesn't mean I'm going to jump into anything. That PSLV, Patrick, they really sold that one off again, didn't they? See, that would be interesting to me, but I don't know. Anyway, questions are open. I'll talk about whatever I'm able to. Whatever you guys want to talk about, we've already done a half an hour almost. It really does feel like slow summer trading, light volume, but a grind higher. Oops, XRP. I was trying to trade this XRPI and I got wasted in that one yesterday. You can see that. That wasn't fun. So I'm leaving this thing alone as well. Just going to hold on to the token, the crypto XRP. But it seems like it's getting close for another push. We'll see. I was doing a Tesla. I haven't looked at Tesla in an hour. I don't like it's rolling over into the armpit there, just back under all its moving averages. I did something kind of cool the other day, and I did it in a way in which I haven't thought about before. But a new user, coming into, and I talk all the time about my risk tolerance and my swing trading time frame and day and a half, and I've got a job and I've got to focus on other things, and there's many different ways to try and trade. And I asked GPT if I was a new trader, which I'm not. I had to let it know that. What advice would you give to somebody starting out? Custom tailor a perfect time frame and niche of trading, because everyone can't focus on a screen at once, and we all have different temperaments. What are 5 good questions a new trader should ask themselves to help design a solid system that matches their personality? And of course, ChatGPT is just wonderful at trying to pump you up. It always tells you what a fantastic question that was, and you're so insightful and you're so smart. So the question is, well, how much uninterrupted screen? Well, this is what I was just talking about, right? I can't really focus right now. I'm with you guys, so my focus is limited. Barry has a tremendous amount of focus, so his screen, has very much little uninterrupted screen time. How do you typically respond to high stress or fast changing situations? Well, I can tell you yesterday during that XRP debacle, I was under high stress, and I got to get up and walk around a little bit, maybe drop a few F-bombs, but know that at some point that's going to abate and that you can trade your way out of it. And I did. So this means, like, how much risk do you want to take? What type of entries, what type of stocks are you going to play? What type of feedback loop do you prefer? Are you an instant gratification or delayed? Well, I have to be much more delayed because I've talked about patience. A lot of times I'll sit in a trade and I'm literally there for 2 or 3 days waiting for it to develop. And then it comes, the wave forms, and I'm riding the wave for a day and a half and I'm out. So I'm okay with delayed gratification. Whereas some people get into something and they want it to work immediately and they're afraid to take it home overnight. Initial capital, of course, is a very important thing. Day trading rules, which might be changed. And are you more interested in developing a skill edge or a data driven? Well, for me, I'm more visual. That's probably a good way. Michael Noss is more math and data oriented, and I'm more visual for sure. So I just found that was an interesting exercise, and anybody can do that that's new to trading, and maybe have the system explain to you what are some of the do's and don'ts, or some of the pros and cons, I mean to say, of different styles of trading. Planning crypto, we do plan on integrating crypto, but it's going to have to be built out as a 24-hour market. We're on the road to that, small steps, so that's down the road. What are the settings on my compare account window? Good question. We can look at it. It's basically new highs versus new lows. And he's talking about this thing right here, and I can, right off the bat, start by sharing my settings with anybody who wants to see it. It's a nice little market pulse. It just gives you a feel for the moment that more stocks are starting to turn up here. And we've got a more number of stocks making new highs in this moment than are making new lows in this moment. Another uptick. So it's kind of a quick little barometer of what's happening out there. And it corresponds with a lot of the green ticks that you see coming through my watch lists. But to answer your question, we've got a compare account window. We've got the green data and the red data. Green data is nothing more than pre, post, and regular market high and 30-minute highs. So most of these things in here are going to be 30-minute highs. Price 1 to 30. Okay, so it's more small cap stuff. That's a good thing to know. Relative volume. These are things that are doing decent volume and a certain amount of minimum volume threshold. So I gave that cloud, and the opposite would be true for the red. Anybody that wants to open up this compare count window, it's a nice little pulse to feel what's happening in the moment. So in the moment here, the buyers are in control for the bit as they're continuing to increase. I would imagine there's some green ticks in the SPY and the NASDAQ slowly grinding higher. Although the small caps are where this one's probably more focused. What is your opinion on FIG? Oh, I heard about FIG. Who was telling us about FIG? They're not open yet. I asked one of our developers because I had never really heard of FIG, and he explained to me why it's a big deal. And he's a trader, and he was also looking forward to the IPO today. Chances are, it sounds like, when these hot new technologies come out, chances are it's probably going to do well. I don't trade IPOs. I need to be able to look left. Otherwise, it's just a horse race. But that should be coming out soon, I heard. I'm sure it'll be crazy. It was offered at 65 to 70. Yeah. There was something else that was offered. Well, yeah, it's coming to me. It was escapes me. It was a stock I had looked at recently that had an IPO and just rocketed past through it. Yeah, I just don't have a lot of ideas to offer today. I'm glad that bull's hanging in there for people that are sticking with it, but I don't like the way it's shaping up, quite honestly. Seeing some more upticks there and this compare count window. But you can't stop these nano nukes, can you? SMR seems the nicest of all of them, but they've got really wide trading ranges. They go back and forth pretty violently. A debut day market indications were for FIG shares to open between 65 and 70, more than doubling the IPO price. Okay. Yeah, that'll be fun to watch. I'll have to keep an eye on that one. But I mean, if I told you guys last week I was starting to lose interest in longs. Things felt like they were starting to slow down a little bit for my liking, and here we are a week later, and I'm just apathetic about new entries at the moment. Tomorrow's Friday. Like I said, I'm gonna be alone tomorrow in the support session on Friday, so I have virtually no brain power or focus bandwidth tomorrow to even try and trade a live account. Look like Bitcoin is trying to come to life. But my heart's been broken so many times the last week and a half. I'm just kind of numb to it. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. Did you make a scan? It was that David. Did you make a scan to find those setups you were talking about earlier where it gaps up strong? No, but I think I do have something on the shelf that at one point gap. Fill at the 10 SMA. Let's open this. So they're new lows. Let's look under the hood first for everybody before we look at the charts. We're trying to back into strong charts on the daily that I probably gapped up, but are making new lows and touching the 10 SMA. So here's the change from the 10 SMA, 5/100ths of a percent below, 5/100ths of a percent above. That's our little envelope, right straddling the fence of the 10 on a 15-minute period, excuse me, not daily, 15. 3% gap minimum. Show me a new low that's touching the 10 SMA. That's exactly what I was kind of describing earlier. So let's see what we get. NLCH. So it hit it, but blasted through it. Oh, that one held. Core Z, CVS, blasted through their 10 SMA. This is an ETF. Another one, a little bit of sloppiness on a lot of these. Oops, hang on a second. That one looked perfect. Yeah, this one was perfect. IREN, beautiful gap up and held that perfectly. So they're not all going to work, but it's up to you, the trader, to manage. Actually, we're too early in the day now, but this is something that you could keep open throughout the day and watch for ideas. Now, if we go back to configure, if we put 500 in there and we put relative volume, might even be a good idea. Maybe we can do a smaller gap. Might get some different ideas. I think that's a different one. Well, anyway, I'll put that back in real time and I will give this out, to anybody who's curious and has trade ideas. Again, this is just a perfect example of how we use trade ideas in real time to kind of back ourselves in and reverse engineer a scan to give us the idea in the moment, capital M. That's the whole point of trade ideas, in the moment. We're not just clicking submit, submit, submit on FinViz all day long. That's the big difference. So the point being, they're not all going to be good, David, but it's up to, all we're doing is we're giving a short list of ideas, and then it's up to us to watch. What would keep me out of one? Well, same old thing. If that first candle that bounced at the 10 SMA, traded and then bounced back up and closed at or above the 10 SMA, that's a candidate. But if that first candle bounces, bleeds through and blasts down and closes below the 10 SMA, then that's a big pass. So that's a good qualifier for anybody out there on that type of setup. But this market has just been nothing but that type of setup for sure. Gap up and settle in. The index is kind of overshot there a little bit as well. It looks like, but what was the other one? Meta. No, it wasn't Meta. It was another one. Too many to remember now. But that's just a good rule of thumb for any gap up. If you chase the gap on the open, that's a real gamble. I don't know if you'll get rich with it, but it'll help you stay in the right stuff, and it'll help keep you out of the bad stuff using that rule of closing candles below the 10 SMA. That's a good looking chart, actually. The silver's probably ready for a bounce, Patrick, but I'm not going to play it. I'm just going to sit in cash. Got the pink shit emoji, huh? That's cool. Or is that something else? I see silver miner names coming through my scan there, and I pull up the daily and just wow. Something like PSLE probably is a good buy down here, but I'm not going to do it. All right, we're all caught up on questions. If anybody was sent here and you've been just kind of lurking and waiting to ask a question, feel free. This is really for support for new users, especially. We understand the product is complex and it's different things different people like to get out of it. So we asked for a phone call in the past and we've explained, sorry, we can't do phone calls. Well, this is why we do this once a day for an hour to make ourselves available for people to pull up a chair and see visually and converse back and forth, and we can help create things and point you in the right direction. How would I do the same for Brian's channel? I've probably got that. Let's check this out. I'm just going to use the keyword 130, pull back to the 130 15-minute. That's the 5-day SMA. There you go. See that arrow is actually the last touch on that one. So if we look at all of these, the blue arrow was the last one. Nice touch there on EW. A little sloppy on P-Lab. That red candle would have got me out. Sloppy on that one. But it's the same concept when we look at the configurations. We're just doing a new intraday low, but we only want to see that low at 0.1% below or 0.1% above that 5-day 130 period. And that's how I have that one set up. Change in 5 days, so I want it to be pulling back at least. It needs to be up, excuse me, it needs to be up in 5 days. And then today it's making a new low into that area. But you can tweak this setting. It's a starting point if you want it. All right, you're welcome, Jeff. Again, I'll be here tomorrow. Andy's on vacation. He's actually in San Diego playing golf tomorrow after the market. Extremely hard course. So there you go, Jason. That cloud would work for you if you wanted it. You can always tweak it to your liking. Seems like that silver's done selling off. See you there. All right, I'll be here another. Well, we got 10 minutes. Yeah, I got a developers meeting today. But happy to talk more for another 10 minutes if somebody's got something they're sitting on. And like I said, I will be here tomorrow. I'll be the person here tomorrow. I'll be the only person here tomorrow. So take it easy on me. Everybody decided to go on vacation starting tomorrow. Some of them are coming out here. It's nice to live here where people would actually come and pay to come to vacation. Yeah, I can't make sense of anything, Patrick. I feel so much more comfy in cash. I'll tell you what, yesterday I had way too much of this XRPI and I took it home after hours and I go, well, I have until 8 o'clock Eastern. If I need to get, and I was working this limit order after hours trying to get out of this thing. It was really, really stupid. So I haven't found much success in the last week. So I'm just going to pull back. Dan needs to do more YouTube. He'll be here every Wednesday. You can count on him being here Wednesdays. But the problem is this live session is really designed for users and for helping people configure and solve problems. Dan's not your guy to do that. Even though it's his company, he's not going to be the guy to get his hands dirty and go under the hood and show you how to set something. He's going to talk more about product development and what's coming and what he's thinking about the company and things like that. So we can't sacrifice the 1 hour of support for users more than once a week. So we give Dan his 1 hour of stand up on Wednesday, and then he gets the next open mic next Wednesday. That's right. Patrick lives in San Diego. You got to remind yourself sometimes people are here on vacation spending a lot of money. I bet it was pretty hot at Murrieta. Played at Bear Creek up in Murrieta a couple weeks ago. It was hot. We're going to play La Costa tomorrow when Andy gets to town on the new course, which is really hard. All right, so just a quick note here on that deal. I see this red little spiking up. So whatever little bounce we just had in the market, the internals are kind of showing me that, hey, there's a lot more stocks making new lows at the moment, kind of ticking up. And the stocks that were making new highs back here are slowly kind of giving way again. And when you get this cross, sometimes that's worth paying attention to. I'm thinking about making Dan come into support for one whole day when he launches the money machine. That'll be fun. Uh, yeah, Dan and Brad used to work together on the afternoon webinars. Brad is knee deep busy. He's really the main person working on the money machine with the developers alongside Dan. So he doesn't really have time to do the webinars. He leaves that to Dan. Dan does a better job of explaining the product. Brad does a better job of building it and understanding it. The nuts and bolts of it, that is. Dan's the outside the box guy. Saw this little spike in game there. I thought that was interesting. Love got just crushed on their earnings. That donut could be interesting again. Got a high short float. Oh, it's come down a little bit actually. But again, I'm not talking myself into anything. I just want to get to the weekend in cash. Reset. Yeah, Dan's a good snowboarder. His whole life. We went to Breckenridge for a company event like 5 years ago. That was fun. We took a backcountry cat with Brian Shannon. John Najarian was in there too. That was cool. He's a nice guy. All right, guys, I got 5 more minutes with you. So if you just showed up late and you wanted to get something asked, do so now. Otherwise, I'll be back in 23 hours. I'll do it again tomorrow. Cover for Andy. but I'm not doing any trading. I'm just not seeing anything I like. Sometimes it's nice to just soak in cash, take your mind off of risk for a little bit, reset. And before you know it, opportunities start to come back to you again. Yeah, he's not a surfer. Neither am I. I mean, I grew up in San Diego longer than Dan's lived here. I tried surfing. Most of my friends that I grew up here with and went to school with surf, but I tried it and I got hit in the head with the fiberglass board, drank about a gallon of salt water, and got trapped under a big wave and said, "Nope, I'm done." Never picked up surfing, and I would be such a fair weather. I might do it in August when the water's warm, but no, these guys are like in January with their wetsuits. And done for the day. All right, take it easy, Mike. Yeah, you can grow up in San Diego and still not be a beach rat. Skydiving, that's oof, why I love doing that. I'm so glad they didn't come out with that wingsuit invention until after I'd quit skydiving already, because I probably would have killed myself doing that. But Brad and I used to skydive a lot, and I probably had about 150 jumps before I just said, all right, that's enough. Had a couple close calls I didn't care for. Shit, Brad and I almost killed each other, actually. We were students in our like very first jump with no supervision. We're like, all right, let's just go up and fly around. Nope, that's not what you do. And we almost smashed into each other like two jet planes, not knowing where the other guy was. Would have been really bad. I lived in San Diego, Mission Valley. Yeah, you would not believe Mission Valley is so dense. It's just so overpopulated now with incredible amounts of apartments and density. I played River. I like Riverwalk Golf Course though. That's a nice little inner city golf course, right in the heart of Mission Valley. All right, guys. Well, I'm kind of winding down here. Again, I'm not doing much. My method hasn't been working lately. Nasdaq's kind of rolling over a little bit. The market is waiting for aftermarket. Big Apple, big Amazon will dictate probably how the market trades tomorrow. But the Magnificent Seven big stocks are just pretty much what leads this market higher. I wonder if GameStop's got some headlines there. Not that I'm going to do anything, but La Mirage. Oh yeah, I remember La Mirage. All right, Patrick. Before we go, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Um, that giant storage facility along the 15 freeway before you got to Friars Road, just at Arrow Drive. That was my dad. He built the first storage facility in San Diego, and then the big one was when I graduated college. He won the land from a bid from Caltrans, and we expanded. And Brad worked with me as well because he went to college with me. And my dad sold that facility in 1998 to Price. So I still drive by that thing all the time on my way to go to Stadium Golf. That's where I practice my golf. All right, guys, I'm just getting all nostalgic about my hometown here. We're not talking about stocks anymore, but I'm sure Patrick knows which building I'm talking about. Whoa, there's something going on with game, that's for sure. All right, everybody, got to run. Talk to you tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow, same time, and happy to help anybody who needs support that didn't get support today. I'll do our best. See you then. Bye.